Alright, I am finally reviewing this film after I have seen it twice. War for the Planet of the Apes. I've seen the first two installments of the Planet of the Apes reboot and liked them both quite a lot, and this new one is just incredible. It's directed by Steve Miller. It mainly stars Andy Serkis as Caesar, who's sort of the leader of his main ape tribe, and the main villain, as it were, is Colonel McCullough, who's the leader of sort of one of the last human factions. So, after the end of the first movie, a simian virus basically wiped out most of the human race, except for like a few factions. And then the second movie, they sort of struggled to coexist, but it ultimately doesn't work out, unfortunately. In this one, the clash really gets real, and there really starts to be a very visceral hatred between the two. The main story really picks up after a few members of Caesar's family get slaughtered and Caesar goes off to extract revenge. And over the course he meets a child who can't speak, and against Caesar's best wishes, Maurice, one of his best friends, chooses to take the child with them. And throughout the course of the film they meet other apes who have sort of learned to talk, even though they're not part of Caesar's tribe, one of them being Bad Ape is his name. And eventually Caesar finally makes his way to sort of the concentration camp, as it were, where a lot of apes are being held prisoner and basically being forced to do slave manual labor. Definitely a lot of interesting symbolism in these scenes. And in fact, even though this is a science fiction movie, fictional characters, it has some legitimately very heartbreaking, very challenging moments to watch. I want to talk about Andy Serkis' portrayal as Caesar. It's absolutely incredible. He really is a master at the motion capture thing, and he looks real. I believe him, and his face even actually sort of looks like Andy Serkis' real face, but it also is very believable that he's playing an ape named Caesar, and he does just a really excellent job of it. And so much of the story is visual storytelling, without even speaking, and a lot of it's just through body motion movement and facial expression, and it's just incredible how they managed to pull that off. It really is absolutely spectacular. And this movie really does show rather than tell when things happen. There's only a little bit of exposition, but most of it is really just recapping what happened in the last two films. But for the most part, the story really is just how the characters, go through and experience things along the way, and how, and we get to see, really what's happening to the world, to the planet. Now, Woody Harrelson is the villain of this movie, and he does a very good job. And his character really does come off as very unsympathetic at first, you don't like him at all. And, well, throughout the end of the movie, you do sort of get to hear, what led him down that dark path. It really, by the very end of the movie, it's hard not to feel just a little bit sorry for him. You never ever for once condone what he's doing, but you definitely do feel a little bit sorry for him after all is said and done. So I think this movie does a good job of creating very dynamic characters in both areas without, creating what we call, I guess, stock villains or stock heroes. It really does a great job of creating dynamic characters, and I think that that's one of the greatest strengths of this film. And even though this film is very dark at times, it also has its comical, funny moments that I think do a great job of balancing everything else out. Though it definitely does end on a bit of a sad note. Definitely has some of the best cinematography I've seen this year in a film. To the extent that the CG there, it's really believable, partially because it's motion capture, and even though they're all apes, they're actually people playing them. And it's real actors doing real acting. And when, the apes and the human actors are interacting, they're actually interacting. And that's what makes it so good. It's not like Transformers 5 or whatever they're on now, where everything is just like CGI up to like a gazillion. It's like, it's actual interaction. It's like actual acting, like I said. And even that said, like the visual like appearance of this movie is just really great. Like the scope of the film is big, and it definitely comes out in the cinematography and just the way every scene is shot. And it really just, it's a great movie to look at. And the sound, the musical score is also really, really great. It's very sort of melancholy, but also uplifting at times too. And it really helps us sort of get into the film and help us root for like the characters that we want to see succeed. Specifically like Caesar and Maurice and company. At the end of the day, War for the Planet of the Apes is just an incredible film that you should definitely go and see. It's very thought-provoking, it's very entertaining as well, and it just does a great job of being more than just, a typical sci-fi, sort of, I guess you can call it post-apocalyptic thriller of sorts, but it's so much like more than that at the same time. I'm happy to give this film a 5 smiley faces out of 5 smiley faces, honestly. I really do think it's that good. Definitely the best movie I've seen this year, and one of the best science fiction films I've seen in a long time. So go see this movie if you haven't already, and keep watching my channel for more movie reviews and more game reviews. Until next time, I'll see you later.